City medical examiner has determined the 55-year-old celebrity chef died by after ingesting a mixture of drugs. She was found dead at her Brooklyn home on June 17th.
The culinary world is mourning the loss of beloved celebrity chef Anne Burrell, who has passed away at the age of 55. Known for her spiky blonde hair, bold personality, and fiery passion, Anne wasn't just a Food Network star. She was a mentor, trailblazer, and a force of nature in the kitchen. For decades, she inspired countless chefs with her unapologetic spirit and commitment to authenticity. Her sudden death has left fans and fellow chefs heartbroken. Though always vibrant on screen, Anne had been privately battling a chronic illness and emotional exhaustion, struggles few knew about. As heartfelt tributes flood in from around the world, more details about her hidden pain and final days have come to light. Join us as we honor her legacy, revisit her journey, and remember her final farewell. Anne Burrell wasn't just a cook. She was a culinary powerhouse, a woman who turned up the heat in the kitchen and in our hearts with her signature style, bold personality, and unforgettable catchphrases. She became a fixture on the Food Network and a guiding light to many aspiring chefs. But on what should have been a normal day, the news of her sudden passing sent shockwaves worldwide. Insiders have come forward with details about Anne's health struggles, personal regrets, and the eerie quiet that surrounded her final weeks. For someone whose life was always full of energy and spice, her last chapter was unexpectedly hushed and full of unanswered questions. Before we move to the current news of her demise, let's talk a bit about how she suddenly became such a mainstay on the Food Network and in our hearts. Anne Burrell's rise on Food Network, a journey of grit and passion. When Anne Burrell burst onto the Food Network scene in the mid-2000s, she didn't just join the lineup, she changed its rhythm. With her unmistakable spiked blonde hair, energetic personality, and unapologetically bold presence, she quickly stood out in a world often dominated by polished, soft-spoken culinary figures. But what made her truly special was more than just her look. It was her passion for food, her deep knowledge of technique, and her fiery, no-nonsense teaching style that won over viewers and colleagues alike. Before making it to television, Anne Burrell was already a seasoned chef with a strong culinary resume. She had studied at the Culinary Institute of America and the Italian Culinary Institute for Foreigners, refining her craft both in the United States and abroad. Working in restaurants across Italy helped shape her rustic, hearty cooking style, which would later become her signature on screen. Anne's early career included stints at some of New York's most respected kitchens, but her big break into the public eye came when she was tapped to be Mario Batali's sous chef on the Iron Chef America series. Though she was technically in a supporting role, her presence was impossible to ignore. With her intense focus, rapid-fire chopping skills, and vocal encouragement, often shouted across the kitchen, she made it clear that she was a commanding force in her own right. In 2008, Anne landed her first solo show on Food Network's Secrets of a Restaurant Chef. The premise was simple but effective. She would teach home cooks how to make restaurant-quality dishes in their own kitchens. What set the show apart was Anne herself. She didn't just explain how to sear a steak or reduce a sauce, she performed it, talking through each step with theatrical flair, complete with sound effects, impromptu singing, and plenty of personality. Secrets of a Restaurant Chef ran for 9 seasons, becoming a favorite for Food Network fans who wanted a crash course in gourmet cooking without the tension. Viewers appreciated her authenticity since she wasn't trying to be polished, but genuinely trying to teach, entertain, and ignite passion in viewers. The show's success cemented her as more than just a quirky sidekick, but a clearly defined star. Meanwhile, if Secrets of a Restaurant Chef proved that she could cook, Worst Cooks in America proved she could transform. Premiering in 2010, the show paired Anne with fellow chefs as they attempted to train hopelessly unskilled home cooks through a boot camp-style competition. What should have been a purely comedic show, full of kitchen disasters and cringeworthy moments, instead became a celebration of growth and mentorship, with much of that credit going to Anne. She approached her students with tough love. She didn't coddle them, but she didn't humiliate them either. She was the chef who told it like it was, and they loved her for it. Viewers rooted not just for the contestants, but for their fierce, straightforward coach, who saw potential in people others wrote off. The show became one of the network's longest-running hits, spanning over 25 seasons and drawing millions of loyal fans. Many contestants have gone on to use cooking as therapy, career shifts, or just confidence boosts, crediting her as their unlikely hero. Anne Burrell's reception across the food television landscape was overwhelmingly positive. Critics admired her authenticity and grit, noting that she broke the mold of what a TV chef was supposed to be. She didn't try to be polished or demure. She was loud, passionate, and unapologetically herself. Viewers responded to that. Her ability to make complex techniques accessible made her invaluable to beginner and intermediate home cooks. Her larger-than-life energy, combined with a no-nonsense New York sensibility, gave people confidence to try something new in the kitchen. Behind the scenes, she was known as one of the hardest workers on the network. Producers admired her preparation and her natural connection with contestants. Other chefs respected her experience, especially as a woman who came up through the brutal world of professional kitchens. Over the years, Anne also appeared on countless Food Network specials, holiday episodes, guest judge panels, and charity events. She was the network's go-to for Halloween, New Year's, and Worst Bakers in America. And her face became as familiar to Food Network fans as a stand mixer on a countertop. As the decades progressed, she began to scale back some of her on-screen appearances. She still took center stage on Worst Cooks, but fans noticed her stepping away from the constant grind of filming. She took on fewer press interviews, rarely appeared on cooking competition panels, and seemed to be focusing more on behind-the-scenes work. Still, her legacy was growing, with Food Network insiders noting she was increasingly focused on her legacy, not just fame, as she continued mentoring younger chefs off-camera and taking on projects that delved deeper into her personal journey. Even as rumors swirled about health concerns in her final years, Anne never made a public statement. She kept giving her best when the cameras were rolling and staying private when they weren't. Then the unexpected tragedy came. A flame unexpectedly extinguished in its prime. Just weeks before the devastating announcement of Anne's passing, fans noticed something off. She had gone unusually quiet on her social media. No fresh dishes, no candid snapshots from Food Network sets, not even her usual silly videos from her kitchen. For someone known for such frequent activity, this sudden quiet raised alarms. Those close to her would later share that she had been privately battling exhaustion and recurring health challenges, though she never spoke publicly about any major illness. Some friends say she admitted to feeling strange and needing a break from filming, while others mentioned that she had started canceling events at the last moment. Something totally out of character for someone known for her energy and reliability. Away from public view, she had allegedly started seeing doctors quietly, not wanting her fans to worry. One friend said she always wanted to appear strong and definitely didn't want people to see her in a weakened state. Sadly, as things worsened, her isolation grew deeper, and then, without warning, the heartbreaking news surfaced. Anne Burrell, had passed away at home at just the age of 55. There was no big announcement, just a brief, careful message from her family requesting privacy. The world was stunned. Colleagues like Bobby Flay, Alex Guarnaschelli, and Guy Fieri were left in shock. While her death shocked everyone, it's what happened after that that really drew people's attention. Apparently, someone close to Anne reportedly tried to hide the truth about what led to her death. People couldn't tell if it was a medical condition or something else. In reality, it was much different from what anyone could have imagined, especially when a mysterious phone call was allegedly made just before she passed. A family insider shared that Anne reportedly made one private call, just hours before she died. It wasn't to her husband, her family, or any of her TV colleagues, but to her longtime assistant, her most trusted companion, who had been by her side for over 10 years. The full contents of the call remain unknown, but one thing was gathered from the news. She spoke some chilling words that seemed to hint at a profound finality that left everyone in disbelief. According to her assistant, who asked to remain unnamed, she didn't sound afraid or in pain. Instead, she seemed calm, as if she'd made peace with something. The assistant clarified, she wasn't upset, she just said it, and then the line went quiet. That call has now become the center of widespread speculation. Some believe she had been battling a serious condition she never spoke about and finally gave in. Others think the emotional and physical demands of years in the spotlight finally wore her down. Meanwhile, recent probes by the NYPD have led others to speculate down a far more unsettling path. She worked non-stop, hosting shows, writing cookbooks, mentoring others, and traveling from place to place. For years, Anne was said to have pushed herself to the edge, and many speculated that she probably pushed it over the edge at some point. Emergency services were called to her upstate New York home early in the morning after loved ones couldn't reach her. When they arrived, they found her in the kitchen, her kettle still warm, a notepad on the counter, and most chilling of all, a handwritten letter labeled, "To those I love." While the full contents of the letter have not been made public, a family source confirmed that Anne had written heartfelt messages of thanks to her fans and goodbye notes to her mother, brother, and husband. The source further clarified that she was at peace, and the very act of writing that letter suggests she knew her time was coming. Still, no official cause of death was immediately released. No mention of a heart attack, stroke, or ongoing illness. Just a family request for privacy. This, of course, only fueled speculation, and just when it seemed the story couldn't get more emotional, details of her funeral began to surface. And what happened during the tribute stunned everyone in attendance. When word of her death spread, fans around the world mourned. Those who truly knew her came together for a small emotional ceremony to remember the woman behind the fiery red hair and unstoppable spirit. Her funeral took place just 5 days after her passing in a quiet chapel in upstate New York, tucked among the trees she loved from childhood. It was not a media event. No press, no flashing lights, just close friends, family, and a few longtime colleagues. The most emotional moment came when Anne's mother, Marlene Burrell, walked to the front. Holding back tears, she shared a memory of when Anne first picked up a wooden spoon. She exposed the crowd to fond memories of when her daughter couldn't even see over the stove, but was determined to make amazing things in the kitchen, which she did. Perhaps the most moving tribute came from one of her former contestants on Worst Cooks in America, who flew in from across the country to speak. Tearfully, he said Anne didn't just teach him to cook, she helped him become a better person. The room fell silent. Some were silent in melancholy, while many more wept openly. Fellow Food Network personalities also offered tributes, both in person and by message. Bobby Flay, visibly emotional, said outside the chapel, "She made us laugh. She made us better. There'll never be another Anne." He held a single white rose, which he placed gently on her casket. The tears reached their peak when the final farewell began, with the song she had chosen years ago for this very moment. "What a Wonderful World" by Louis Armstrong. As it played, a slideshow of her best moments lit up the room. Her big reactions on screen, her joy with kids at food events, her silly dancing backstage after a long shoot. So what exactly led to her death? Let's take a look at what's known so far, the speculations, and why some believed it could have been prevented. Clues, and a new addition to an already impressive legacy. Close friends have allegedly now tried to open up about things she kept out of the public eye. One friend explained that she didn't want pity or to be labeled. It was something she wasn't going to compromise on. Despite keeping up appearances, the toll of juggling a relentless filming schedule, restaurant management, writing cookbooks, and mentoring young chefs began to wear her down. She often masked her exhaustion with a bright smile, only to collapse in the corner after the cameras stopped rolling. There's some talk of a possible substance overdose being the cause of her death, and perhaps the stress of her work caused her to self-medicate. According to an insider, she never let it show, but it was breaking her down bit by bit. In 2021, she married her longtime partner Stuart Claxton in a joyful ceremony she shared proudly with fans. It seemed like a new chapter, a well-earned happy ending. But by late 2023, those close to the couple noticed cracks forming. Her ongoing health issues and the pressures of her career put increasing strain on their relationship. Although their social media presence remained upbeat, those close to Anne noticed a change when she became quieter, more introspective, and less of her usual bubbly self. She allegedly declined a major Food Network anniversary special, something once unthinkable for her. Some guess that she probably lacked the energy and just wanted to rest. In the months leading to her passing, she began writing letters to loved ones, some hidden in cookbooks, others found only after her funeral. Many assume that she had started saying goodbye ahead of her passing. Although no foul play is suspected, the mystery surrounding her decline, silence, and her private battles has left many wondering if something could have been done had she asked for help, or if more people had noticed earlier. Her death also revealed a secret project that she never shared publicly. As the culinary community mourned her passing, something unexpected surfaced from her home office, tucked beneath piles of old recipes. It was said to be a nearly finished manuscript titled "Feeding the Fire Stories from a Life at the Stove." And apparently, it wasn't just another cookbook. It was allegedly a deeply personal blend of memoir and manifesto. Her literary agent revealed she had quietly worked on it for almost 2 years, journaling, reflecting, and crafting a heartfelt narrative about her journey. From her modest beginnings in upstate New York to her rapid rise on the Food Network. One chapter seemed to address her struggles with body image and online criticism. Another explored the loneliness of TV fame, the fear of aging on screen, and the unspoken rule in her world to never show weakness. She even tackled long-standing rumors about her health and private life, finally explaining why she had guarded so much of herself. Of note, perhaps the most touching part was her message to young chefs. This life will chew you up if you let it. But if you keep your fire not just in the kitchen, but in your heart, you'll survive, maybe even thrive. Don't just cook, nourish yourself, your people, your soul. She had planned to self-publish the book in early parts of 2025 to retain full creative control. She had even recorded audio samples in her signature raspy, vibrant voice, intending to narrate the audiobook herself. It was meant to be her final offering, not a grand return to TV, but something quiet and deeply meaningful. Following her death, her estate confirmed that the manuscript would be completed and published posthumously, likely with a foreword from one of her closest industry friends. That wasn't the only legacy she left behind. In her will, she had outlined a charitable vision, the creation of the Anne Burrell Culinary Foundation, a nonprofit devoted to supporting young women in the culinary arts, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds. Its mission, if brought to life, would include providing scholarships, mentorship, and mental health support to help them navigate the intense pressures of professional kitchens. She didn't want to be remembered just for her risotto or pasta dishes. As her lawyer explained, she wanted to be remembered for helping others find their strength, even when the world called them too loud, too different, too much. While some details about her passing remain obscure, one thing is sure: she lived her life with passion while passing it on to as many people as she could, and will be remembered for a long time, as the touch keeps getting passed on. What do you think of her legacy and the effect of the recent investigations on it? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. To enjoy more exciting videos, click play on the video on your screen. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when a new video drops.